Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful April 7th, 2020. Coming up in the Crusty Canuck podcast today, it will be to mask or not to mask. All that and more coming at the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay tuned.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, on this beautiful April 7th, 2020. I was going over my last week's episode and I noticed I did a faux pas. I said October 31st. Yes, maybe because I was thinking about Halloween, ghosts and ghoulies alike. However, I'm here now. I know it's April 7th. Yes, knock on my head. And everything is good. Now I know it's April 7th. Anyhow, as I say back in the title there, to mask or not to mask? Now, I'm just going to assess all the big news reports and everything in regards to the whole mask issue that our beloved health official, Dr. Theresa Tam, and of course our health minister, Patty Haydu, has said back and forth in regards to this beer bug that we're facing here today. So we got a pandemic going on here. We've got all these other issues, people self-quarantining, people hoarding supplies, people price gouging, speculation left and right. We don't have enough manufacturing in Canada to get masks. Donald Trump said, no, we can't have masks. Now we can have masks. Now we got masks coming in here. We got ventilators coming in here. I posted a comment on my Facebook page. Why aren't we hearing about survivors of said catastrophe? Why aren't we hearing from the people that have recovered? And of course, I get some of the SJW responses saying, oh, why don't you just leave people alone, let people be? Well, yeah, right. I want people to be left alone. I want people to be. But I also want people to be healthy, wise, and coherent too. And I also want to see some more truth coming out there. Every major news stream that you look at, whether it's CTV or CBC or Global, CNN, CBS, MSNBC, all those other fucking BC abbreviations that have come from major news today, they keep talking about the devastating results of said beer bug. Now, my question is, why aren't we hearing more from the survivors? Why aren't we hearing more from the people that have recovered from these catastrophes, these illnesses, right? I'll post a few links there, of course, in my description. There's a timeline that the Edmonton Journal did last month and part of this month in regards to the lackluster and the lackadaisical response that our health officials promoted and said to the Canadian public over a period of time. And of course, Dr. Theresa Tam, I'm not questioning her ability as a medical practitioner, but I am going to question her integrity when it comes to telling the Canadian people what is up. Oh, we don't need a mask. We don't need this. We don't need to be socially distanced. Oh, it's not a big deal, right? Okay, well, it was killing a lot of people in China at the time of its birth. Wet markets, what have you, people slaughtering animals out in the street, no hygiene, no regulations, whatever. You'd figure communist China would have the toughest regulations when it came to preparing food, but I guess not. Now, I'm not disenfranchising any Chinese Canadians. I've worked with Chinese Canadians. I know a lot of Chinese Canadians. This isn't a racial template. Okay, this isn't a racial issue. And of course, when you look at the article in the Edmonton Journal, the first couple of weeks of said discrepancies was always referring to racism and being diverse and being inclusive. Yet there's a pandemic going on, so it has nothing to do with race, color, or creed. Okay? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Every time we turn around, there is always some kind of racial conspiracy that is trying to drive us up the fucking wall when we're not seeing the big picture for what it is. I was not raised in a racist household. Okay? So let's get rid of that dilemma right now. And to the whole trendy buzzword of calling someone racist or white supremacist every time there's an opinion expressed is fucking null and void. Put your race cards away. Let's start thinking due diligence. Let's start thinking as Canadians. Okay? Let's start thinking as North Americans. Recently, I had the opportunity of having a good conversation with a young man in Massachusetts. He's a Kiwi, New Zealander, living in the United States, and I was part of his podcast there last week. I'll leave a link to his show there. Just a very informative talk on the social spectrum plaguing North America, the political spectrum, on the whole liberal ideologue and the conservative ideologue, and conspiracies galore. We talked about body positive image and all that other good stuff, and just trying to find light and trying to find common ground in this world we call the fucking pandemic. Anyhow, as I said in the title, more titles too. Since I'm on this racism kick, there's an interesting story that came out of the Rebel Media by Sheila Gunn Reid. A young man by the name of Chase Chomey, young man who dismantled the blockade west of Edmonton there back in February, when the blockades were such a big deal. Now, when you look at the footage of him and a few of his co-workers or buddies politely removing the blockade, i.e., picking up the skids, picking up the logs, picking up the obstructions, throwing them in the back of a quarter-ton truck, and leaving the scene as be. There was no violence. There was no racial bullshit, as the media like to spin it. He took it upon himself to basically move this blockade, to let things go and let things flow as they should, right? And, rightfully so. And what gets me is, why can there be more Canadians who did the exact same thing? Get up there, move the blockades around, and say enough is enough, right? Get rid of these clowns calling the shots, and for the sake of racial purity or whatever their excuse was. But, they did something. This young man took his initiative and did something good, respecting the rule of law, respecting prosperity, and respecting movement in this country. Something that some of our authorities failed to do. Right? Now, MacLean's got a hold of this story, and a writer by the name of Sharon Gormley, I believe, made this look like it was some kind of white supremacy conspiracy, making it look like some kind of vigilante justice gone awry, and let's spin this as a white supremacy thing and make this into some kind of frickin', oh my goodness, oh, look at these white people doing something, basically it was just a shit article, and I was so insulted by reading. I'll leave a link to it here too. But holy shit. Like, I thought if you went and got yourself an education in the journalism field, that you'd have to promote certain integrity, basic morals, linguistic values, and basically be nonpartisan. Basically be an unbiased source when it comes to writing materials for the general public to see. Now, Maclean's, as far as I remember, has always been a decent magazine, but you could tell the last maybe 5 or 6 years, they've turned into a real SJW rag, always looking for racism, always looking for some kind of prejudice or some kind of half-assed oppression. And when I read that story, it was baseless. It was based more on fear. Now, this Miss Gormley did not take the initiative to actually talk to this Chase Choli guy. Did not. 20-year-old kid, unemployed, has a Class 1 driver's license, so he can drive truck. He's a capable member of society. And yet he's being chastised and being made to look like he's some kind of fucking thug. Right? So this writer took it upon herself just to assume things based on whatever half-assed data that came from the left side of the spectrum in Europe, based on people getting out there and being active, not taking any crap. So as far as I know, according to the Rebel, this Chase gentleman is actually suing Maclean's and the writer for slander, and rightfully so. Right? So I'll leave a link to the Rebel story and to Mr. Choli's strife, and I'll leave links to where you can actually donate to his case. He's suing for $50,000. Good for him. I'd go for a bit more. A national news magazine slandering a young man like that is just, that's, all these people talking about hate speech and talking about kumbaya and let's get along and let's do all these wonderful things, and yet they're the first ones to point a finger at somebody taking action against something and then dressing it up as to something that it's not. So there goes journalistic integrity, there goes sincerity, there goes honor, there goes compassion. Let's just call it something else because it'll sell some more papers and make the writer look like she's some kind of fucking godsend to the world of the word. Like, come on, people, we're better than that. I'll leave a link in the description there. But as I said in the title, to mask or not to mask. So we're having health officials in this country saying one thing we don't need masks for this. Oh, it's not a contagious issue. And now it is a contagious issue, right? And now people are forcing self-quarantine and self-this and look after this, look after that, and rightfully so. But when you look at these elected people, people that are put in position to look after and to dictate certain regulations, to tell us what's going on, and they don't tell us the whole story, no wonder there's skepticism. No wonder there's so-called quote-unquote fake news. No wonder there's so much fake reports. Now, the other day when the whole thing with Donald Trump coming down with the mask issue, saying that he's not going to give some to Canada, or he is going to give some to Canada, like, which is it? Was there going to be masks given to Canada? Did Canada buy masks from the American 3M? I know in this country we have the ability to make our own. Like, we have industry in this country to make things for ourselves. We have Canadian companies and Canadian workers and Canadian engineers that can make things. Everything from car parts to seat belts to fucking parts for the space arm and the shuttle, for fuck's sakes. Yet we don't have the ability to make masks? Huh? Is it one of those things that was closed down and then red taped to shit because environmental or parity regulations? Are a lot of our factories going through that crap too, just like our oil industry? More red tape, more red tape, more red tape, more parity, more parity, more parity, right? We don't have the money. We don't have the resources. If that was the case, then why did our federal government give away all that money to Africa in regards to parity, and spectrum, gender spectrum, right? No more excuses, folks. We have the ability to do it. Now, when I look at somebody like Doug Ford, who took the initiative, like I said in my last episode, in regards to getting masks going, took his time to load masks in his truck and deliver them. There's leadership, right? There's leadership right there. It starts with the individual, too. Nothing wrong with husband and wife going out buying a handful of masks, or making your own for that matter. Which brings me to another point, too, where Dr. Tam is saying, okay, now it's okay to make your own masks. Yeah, because we don't have any in the system, right? Which is it, folks? Shit or get off the pot? Yes or no, right? And now the Chinese government sitting there praising our government officials for supposedly telling the truth. Okay. Did China tell the world the truth? Is the World Health Organization telling us the truth? Are they? Right? Again, more unqualified people spewing bullshit, telling us, oh, we're okay here, we're okay there. Yet there's 40,000 Americans in New York City that are infected. How many more people are dying in Italy, in Spain? We have a few more casualties here in Canada that are passing, right? Some of our senior citizens are being disregarded and ignored because, well, they're in nursing homes and then they're fine. That's okay. Like, holy fuck, folks. Was there this much bullshit when H1N1 was flourishing? Was there this much bullshit when SARS was going rampant? Right? Oh, nothing to see here, nothing to worry about here. Just stay in your homes and do as you're told. Is that the best way to fight an issue? I know, you tell me. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com, or on Facebook at Crusty Canuck, or on Instagram at Canuck Crusty. You can find me on Twitter too. And I'll leave links here in the description where you can contact me and donate to me and all that good stuff. And I'll leave a mailing address too if you'd like to actually write some snail mail or send me some Gucci gear. If you decide, it's up to you. Not that I'm expecting presents, but hey, there, I put the address there for the sake of reaching out and touching people if you want to contact me. But yeah, let me know what you think. Well, this is getting into a real shit show, folks. Every time you turn on television, there's always some expert weighing in the odds, and yet we can't find the truth. So my advice to you is, if you have a mask, wear it. If you're going to be in a situation where you're around a lot of people, okay, wear a mask. I have one in my pocket. I keep it in my jacket, and if I feel that there's a threat, then I'll put it on. That simple, right? I have a mask at work that I have to wear if need be. And the protocol at my job is you're going to check everybody thoroughly and make sure everyone's good to go. And with the nursing staff and the doctoral staff that I work with, well, they're pretty good switched on too. And they give me information all the time to the best of their ability of what they know what's going down. And it's getting out of hand, basically, you know. And if you do have a moment or two, take the time to thank a nurse or a doctor. My sister's a paramedic and she's on call and she works her ass off. So I thank her all the time. I count my lucky stars that she's in my life. You know, she's a great leader. She's a great paramedic, and she's one hell of a fucking human being. And if any paramedics or nurses or doctors listen right now, hats off to you, sirs and ma'ams, for your dedicated fucking service and your hard work and your understanding and your calmness and your collectivists, just your bedside manner. Well done, sirs and ma'ams. Hats off to you for the amount of incredible work that you're all doing. But we got to start realizing too that the more and more I read this garbage, the more and more I see these stories coming up. It's just more and more excuses getting us away from the actual big picture. China caused something, okay? They created something, a virus. Now, whether you believe in biological warfare or not, or anything of that matter, another virus came from China that's causing something. This is no way blaming Chinese Canadians or Chinese Americans or Chinese Brits or anybody of Chinese descent in the Northern Hemisphere. I blame the Chinese government. I blame the powers that be. I also blame some of our government officials for not being honest with us and telling us the truth. Now, Frank Vaughn has done a couple of great videos. I'll leave a link to his work too, basically explaining it thoroughly. And I'm not going to make you all suck eggs here. You can all read it yourselves. But he took it upon himself to get the information, talk to virologists, talk to people in the field, and understand the big picture of this. And a lot of us are being lied to, folks. So when people are so worried about which is fake news, which is real news, we're going to have to start finding out for ourselves and researching. Now, I posted a question on my Facebook page. Why aren't we hearing any more about these individuals that have recovered? And of course, I got a few SJW responses. Like, Crusty Canuck, stop being such a conspiracy theorist. Oh, Crusty Canuck, why don't you leave people alone? They want to recover and be left alone. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine. But every time you turn around, you always hear about a cancer survivor story, or someone who survived HIV, or someone who survived cystic fibrosis or Lou Gehrig's, or anything of that matter, and how they overcome these obstacles and became great people. So I'd like to hear from any survivors. If you're listening to this podcast, please give me an email. It's crustybcanuck67@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook under Crusty Canuck, or on Instagram at Canuck Crusty, and on my Twitter feed too, which I'll put in the link. But yeah, let me know what's going on, folks. Right? We hear more and more about these individuals who are getting infected, but we're not hearing anything positive of the people that have recovered from it. Right? We know Prince Charles has it. We know the Queen might have it. We know Boris Johnson has it. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau doesn't have it anymore, but then she's out free. And yet Justin, our beloved potato head, is still in self-quarantine. Why? Right? We got more of our politicians self-isolating. We got more of our politicians getting a few more bucks out of the fucking year. And of course, like I mentioned last episode, they increased the goddamn carbon tax again. So they're like taking advantage of the Canadian people, eh? It really goes to show how much the government really loves its people. Their bottom line is to make more money of our expense and then shake their hands and go, oh, I don't know. We didn't know, right? Irresponsible government yet again, ladies and gentlemen. So, but now's not the time to call an election. Now's the time to look out for each other to the best of our abilities, right? I don't know what to say. You can reach me at crustybcanuck67@gmail.com. Facebook, Crusty Canuck. Instagram, Canuck Crusty. And on my Twitter feeds. And I'll leave a personal mailing address if you want to write me a letter or two. And if you feel like donating, please donate. Consider donating. I know I'm not trying to beg for cash or ask for money, but every little bit helps. If you gave me $1 a month, I would be well on my way to creating better podcasts and actually some videos, and possibly hire someone to help me edit it and create and move things along. Not to mention helps supplement my income. And I still give to the Veterans Association Food Bank. I'll leave a link to their charity there. They're a unit out of Calgary, made of ex-veterans and patrons alike who create safety, who create comfort, and provide food for those in need. They also create walkways and sedgeways for disabled vets, and they're good pillars of the community down in Calgary. So I'll leave a link to them. And if you give them $25 or more, they will give you a receipt that will come in handy this tax time. So I'll give them a shot too. And when I do make money, I make sure I give 30% to Veterans Association Food Bank. So, and that goes for my t-shirt line, and that goes for my merchandise. And that also comes and goes from donations from people like yourself too. So please consider donating to the Crusty Canuck podcast. I've got a tier system set up on the Subscribe Star, as well as a PayPal account, Patreon account, and a Patreon via Podbean too. And I'll leave the links at the bottom too for you to decide. But moving on again to mask or not to mask. So it's up to you, folks. Right? Like I say, I carry a mask with me. It's handy if I need it. And like I'm not out and about in the general public all the time. I'll get gas. I'll get groceries. I got a bunch of gas there last week. So I've got ammo. Not that I'm hoping for anything violent to happen, but I am a gun owner, and I'm a common sense gun owner, and I keep my weapons locked up as per. So I'm not doing anything stupid, right? But it doesn't hurt to get a few extra boxes of ammo on occasion, especially when they're sale too. Go figure, right? But I don't know. You decide. Wear a mask. If you want to wear a mask, then it's up to you. I have a list of what I have to do to self-diagnose. You can go to any provincial health site and find how to diagnose yourself, to check yourself in the midst of this pandemic. And you can also talk to medical professionals. If you know a nurse, ask them questions. You know a doctor, ask them questions. Call your family doctor, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask and try to find the truth too. Because half of these clowns that come on the national news broadcast are just giving us lip service, right? They turn something as deadly and as painful as a pandemic and turn into a political fucking shit show. We don't need that. We, the Canadian people and taxpayers and veterans and seniors and citizens alike, want the truth. And people like Frank P. Vaughan, Adam Daniel Manzay, Rebel News, TNC News, right? Other Canadian independent outlets are doing their best to get the words out there for people to listen to, and myself too. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I do what I can as well. I'll ponder questions. Let's ask questions. Let's get things on the go here. Let's find out what the fuck is going on, right? Pardon my swearing, but I'd rather be real than be a heel. So, put that in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start trusting again. We're going to start looking after each other again. Like I said in my last episode, let's get out there and help people with groceries. Let's help people run errands. Odd jobs around, giving people a hand when they need it. Volunteer time at food banks. Give to the food banks if you can, right? If someone's out of work and you get a few extra bucks, hey, give them a job or two, shoveling snow or cutting something or painting something, or help each other out. Like I said, when I dropped groceries off that older lady, the mother of a friend of ours, I picked up the groceries she needed. It didn't cost me much. I said, just pay it forward. I said, give $10 to the Legion, or give $20 to the Legion, or give to the food bank somehow. I wasn't expecting to get a gratuitous payment for it. I just volunteered my time to help someone out who's in need. And I encourage you, my listeners and fans alike, to do the same thing too. Same thing, my European listeners, my American listeners. To Fred out there, help your friends down in Massachusetts. All that good stuff, right? And I'll leave a link to his podcast too. Like I said, I had a good conversation with him the other day in regards to body image and the social spectrum of feminism and all that other great stuff. But quite an inquisitive young man, and he's an up and coming podcaster. So I highly suggest you subscribe to his channel too. He's got a lot to say. He's got a lot of valid points and information. He's well traveled too. Like I say, he's from New Zealand, so he's been to New Zealand, Australia. He spent some time in the Pacific, and now he's in the United States. So he's a well-grounded individual, very historically inclined, and an all-around nice guy. So check him out too. But really, ladies and gentlemen, that's really all I have to say about it. Let's filter the bullshit. Wear a mask. Start finding your own advice because, powers that be can't tell us straight, can't tell us one story or the next without getting so goddamn fucking political. I know, I'm guilty of it too. I'm political. I like liberty and I like freedom. And I hope one day we'll have a responsible government that owns its shit. Maybe I'm thinking too far outside the box. I don't know. You tell me. Anyhow. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been April 7th. It is April 7th, sorry. 2020. I have been Crusty Canuck. And look after your friends and your loved ones. And remember, humanity merit wins the day. Take care and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. There is no racial bigotry here.